Hi, Anisha. We're about to get started.
Okay, I'm here.
Thank you. 59. We're almost there. Good evening, and welcome to the Gilroy Unified School District Board of Education regular meeting. Hay alguien que necesita intérprete para la Junta? Gracias. Attention, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast. Images and sounds may be captured of those attending this meeting. This brings us to item 4A on the agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the principal of Luigi Aprea Elementary School, Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. Come on in, kiddos. All right. So, since the flag's here, I guess we'll just stand on this side. Might be a little bit easier.
You can go wherever.
All right. So, I'd like to introduce the students that are helping us out tonight. We have Gianpaolo, Grace, Naomi, Deja, and Alex. And they are all fifth graders at Luigi Aprea. So, Naomi, if you could lead us.
Please put your hands over your hearts and stand. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the help, students. For the record, Trustee Paceno is absent and Trustee Munchi is on the telephone.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, next we come to approval of the agenda. I would like to move item 8D as in dog up to before item 8A.
Move approval with that change.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Does this have to be a roll call? Because, I guess.
Enrique Diaz? Yes. BC Doyle?
Yes.
Twin Pyock?
Yes.
Mark Good?
Yes.
Anisha Munchi?
Yes.
James Pace?
Yes.
Linda Paceno, absent.
I should tell you, because we have someone on the phone, we'll have to do roll call votes on everything tonight. Okay, this brings us to recognitions. Dr. Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. We have a special recognition that's actually being given to us this evening. So I'd ask Sharon, I forgot your last name already, come on up. From Kaiser, and are the other gentlemen coming up too? Great. So one of the three of you come up and then you can explain to the audience why you're here. And make sure you introduce yourselves. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Notran, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager at Kaiser Permanente. Today I have here with me Chris Jung, who is our Site Director, as well as Dr. Bao Nguyen, who is our Physician Lead at our Gilroy Medical Offices. And I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us here at your meeting tonight. So what we wanted to do was really thank you as a partner in the community here in Gilroy. You know, we treat so many of our kids here from the Gilroy Unified School District and the staff members that we just really wanted to share our thanks for all that you do for our kids every day, and especially after, in the wake of the tragedy at the Gilroy Garlic Festival this past year. And you guys opened up your campuses to the community for support, and we really appreciated it. And so our facility wanted to do something special for you guys as the district to really thank you, because we do partner with you so much, and we take care of so many of your employees and your kids. And so we brought you a nice gift basket, a school, and also this nice big card, big envelope, which has signed by so many of our physicians and staff members to just really show our appreciation for what you guys do, educating the children of the community and what you did for the community this past summer. So,
thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Lee.
Stand in front of.
Well, we have enough.
Dr. Lee, do you want to say?
Hi, I'm Bao Nguyen. I'm one of the assistant physician in charge for the Gilroy Medical Office, building at Kaiser Permanente, and I live in the community. I just want to say on behalf of our physician and staff, thank you for all the things that you do, this, especially to provide the mental health after the tragedy. And again, thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very nice of you. Why don't we scoot that way, right in front of the blue? Yep, I'll open it. Gladly. It covers something.
Okay, ready? Smile, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Great. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, share from
Yes. Oh.
Ready? 1, 2. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie.
Great. Thanks so much.
And just a plug, we wanted to make sure everyone gets their flu shot, so plug for that. And for the board members and teachers and principals here, Kaiser Permanente does offer some, it's called the Kaiser Permanente Educational Theater Program, where we offer programs on, there's a program called Nightmare on Puberty Street for those in 6th through 8th grade, and then for the high school students, a program called GUSD, which talks about social and mental wellness. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to myself. I have some cards here with me today, or you can reach out to Melanie and she can reach out to me. So thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you too. Thank you to Kaiser for everything you do for our community as well.
About 75% of our employees get their medical care through this Kaiser. So it's a very important service for our employees. Now we're going to recognize some students. I guess that's why most of you are here this evening. Throughout the year, the district and the board honor students for their academic, personal, and extracurricular activities and achievements. And tonight, we're very pleased to recognize the elementary schools of Rod Kelly and Rucker, and we're going to be recognizing the students from those schools who received the highest possible score on the CASP. The CASP is the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Test, and they're administered in English and math. And we're really excited to recognize students that could score at this incredibly high level on a very, very difficult test. There are 18 students being recognized tonight, which is great. And we're in the 5th year of the CASP testing. And this test requires students to explain how they solve problems, think critically, and write analytically. This year, 83 Gilroy Unified students district-wide earned the highest possible score on the English Language Arts section of the test, and 56 GUSD students district-wide earned the highest possible score on the mathematics section of the test. And we have 45 students in GUSD who achieved the highest possible score on both tests, which is amazing. And we have 1 student from Rod Kelly and 2 students from Rucker tonight who met that criteria. That's pretty amazing. So we are really proud of every one of our students who have reached this high level of academic achievement in our district. So I'd like to ask Maritza Salcido to read the names of the students here from Rod Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Flores. So for English Language Arts top scorers, we have Seth Astorga. Zeb Pfeffer. Maya Ruffolo. And Sophia Russo. For top scores in mathematics, I have Cruz Carrasco, Jin Shan Huang, Andrew and achieving top scores in both English language arts and mathematics, Raylin Zhao. Congratulations.
So turn it around so your certificate is showing.
All right, my friends, I'm going to have mommies and daddies. You can come behind me. I'll take a picture first. And then you're welcome.
This way a little.
Friends, we're going to come here. We're going to have you stand in front. Andrew, stand in front.
Good.
Can you come down and say hi?
Right here.
Chris,
Andrew.
Zeb, can I have you here?
Right.
Right there.
You gotta get a good picture. Allie got it.
All right. Everybody.
Take a stand up.
You can stand up. Just back up there. Just a minute.
There's a photographer first.
Congratulations. Zeb, can you move a little bit to your right this way? Because perfect. Because I can't see Sophia. All right. Everybody smile. Smile. Keep smiling, guys. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, keep smiling for your mommies and daddies.
All right.
All right, guys.
Oh, yeah. Rod Kelly parents, you might want to stay because we're going to recognize a teacher from Rod Kelly in just a minute, Jennifer Evans, for being our County Teacher of the Year. It's a big deal. Yeah. Okay, so now we have Jean Wells Southland, our principal at Rucker, and she's going to introduce the Rucker students.
For English Language Arts, we have Kaylee Gamble. Michaela Lake. For mathematics, we have Caleb Acosta, who is not here this evening. We have Daryl Marcus Bentic. Max Fung. Catherine Montero Carrillo. And Yena Xiao. For English Language Arts and Mathematics, we have Joseph Maggi. And Ayan Sharma, who could not join us this evening. Parents, if you'd like to come up and take a picture.
You want history in press?
Yes. You guys, can you step forward? And then Michaela, Catherine, go this way.
This way, towards me. Everybody else move towards me.
Joseph, do you want to stand right next to Kaylee, please? Oh, there's someone new. All right, me first. Are you ready, guys? Cheese. And smile. All right, look at your moms and dads, guys.
Big one.
That's it. Okay. Congratulations.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
I know. Hundreds. Okay, we have one more recognition this evening. And as you know, throughout the year, we recognize students, staff, and others for their accomplishments. So tonight we have the pleasure of recognizing an outstanding fifth grade teacher at Rod Kelly, Jennifer Evans. Jennifer, come on up. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, Jennifer, every school district in the county nominates a teacher as their Teacher of the Year. So my cabinet and I nominated Jennifer. And then at an event, which was held 2 weeks ago, today, right?
Last Thursday.
Or last Thursday.
Two Thursdays.
Two Thursdays ago, because it was a board meeting and we couldn't all come like we normally do. So the county office has a major reception up in Campbell. It's a beautiful event. And then all of the 31 districts' Teachers of the Year are recognized. So Jennifer represented us, and we're really, really excited about her recognition. This is long overdue in my mind because she's just such a phenomenal teacher. But anyway, Jennifer was nominated because of the outstanding job that she does in the classroom. I've been in her classroom many times, and I've never seen kids just sitting there doing paperwork or even really sitting at their computer. She is a very engaging teacher, and at the same time really challenges the kids to do their best. And her scores over the years have demonstrated that they excel in her class, and every child excels in her class. No matter what subcategory they represent, they do well in her class because she cares so much about her children, and she puts so much time and energy into making sure that they master the standards, and she's taken the lead in so many areas. I know I'm totally off script, but who cares? But anyway, she's been a teacher leader for years. She's, from our perspective, been a great resource to us when she's worked in a couple of different roles where she's supporting classroom teachers. She was part of a science leadership team at Rod Kelly and helped to open a STEAM lab at the school beginning this school year, which I got to see. She's been a presenter at the Summer Science Symposium, a partnership between GUSD and Morgan Hill Unified that provides hands-on science training for elementary school teachers. And during the 18-19 school year, she completed the Innovate Public Schools Fellowship Program, and we, as a board and the public and I, got to see a presentation that she did on that. Was just amazing work that she did while she was doing that fellowship last year. And Maritza wanted us to share that everyone recognizes what a fantastic educational and curriculum leader Jennifer is, but what sets her apart is the personal connection she makes with her students. She truly takes the time to get to know them beyond her classroom door, their interests and hobbies, things that motivate and challenge them, and they know she loves them. So we're really pleased tonight, Jennifer, to recognize you as our Teacher of the Year. You have it. Great.
Do we have to scoot this way?
I know, yeah, scoot that way, and then we'll let, is this your mom?
This is my mom.
You did good.
Go stand with her.
Sure. Come on up.
You're fine. We'll filter you out.
They let me
You can
be in the
get your
pictures.
purse. How about that?
All right, here we go.
Be careful, I don't embarrass her. My girls are all busy with their activities.
Well, all right. Smile. Our mom's camera. All right.
Me too. I'm just a mom. Whenever my kids are here.
All right, ready? Smile. 1, 2, 3, smile.
Thank you.
No, we're not
Okay,
done.
we're not done.
Good
Sorry.
job.
One more. It has to be official. 1, 2, 3, smiles. Congratulations.
Great, congratulations.
You did a great job.
Okay, that concludes our recognitions tonight. Thank you.
Family, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Y'all kind of look at me like, can we leave?
I know.
Yeah, Ron's getting there. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. This brings us to item 4D, general public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any item or any issues within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board that is not listed on this agenda. No action can be taken on an item not on the agenda at this time, but may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. Members of the public may also address the board on an agenda item before or during the board's consideration of that item. We have no public comments this evening. Report of action taken in closed session. We have one case for removal, suspension, expulsion of a student, case number 2020-02. What is the will of the board?
I move to suspend expulsion.
We have a motion to suspend the expulsion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
There has to be an expulsion first to suspend it, doesn't there?
Yeah. You do have to do the expulsion first.
Okay,
and
that's
then
the secondary motion.
Is to suspend the expulsion.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for reminding
Good to have
us
an
of
attorney
that.
up here. Okay, so let's table that motion and go for a new motion. Do we have a motion to expel? I will make the motion to expel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This is a roll call.
Enrique Diaz,
Yes.
BC Doyle,
No.
Twin Fioc,
No.
Mark Good,
Abstain.
Anisha Munchi,
Yes.
James Pace,
Yes.
Linda Pisano, absent.
So
Fails.
the motion fails due to lack of a quorum, didn't receive a majority. Okay. Moving on. There is no further closed session items. Next up, Student Board Member Report. Ms. Clinton, representing Christopher High School.
Hello, I'm Erica Clinton, and I'm going to be talking about Christopher High School and El Roble Elementary today. So, first we have El Roble, and they just had their, thank you so much. Is that good? So they had their Seal Gallery Walk, which is right here. Let me use my pointer. It is right here, and here is one of their kindergarten classes. They have them throughout the year, and this is their first one, or their most recent one. Then they also had their Tech Academy PD Day, which is their engineering shops. These two pictures right here, and a few of their teachers attend. And then they had their anti-bullying handprint workshops, and it's some of their students putting handprints on posters just to say that they're not going to bully anyone, which is really great, honestly. So here they are. And then moving on to Christopher High School, and unfortunately didn't have that much for El Roble, but they also have their October, and on October 5th, they have their fall festival coming up. So that's the most recent thing they have coming up. Now moving on to Christopher High School, we have our back to school rally, our back to school spirit week, which we had, for our rally, it was Bay Area versus LA. So we have some of our students representing the Bay Area right here. This is our Company C team. It's our competition dance team at the school. Here's our LA side, and then here are some of our students dressing up for other days. And then that week, we also had a movie night. It was, we played Shazam, which is the movie that we showed at our movie night, and it was just a really great turnout. So that was our back to school week. Then we have our honors luau, which is our students that scored a 3.0 and above. So we have some of our kids in the pool. We have some more kids in the pool. These are some of our ASB members working with our music, some kids on floaties, and then we also had a hula hoop contest and a what is it? They're going under like the limbo. There we go. Not limbo. We don't have any pictures with limbo, but that was really great. So our leadership students came up with some really great ideas for that. So that's our honors luau. And then most recently we had our homecoming week, which was themed Beats Week. So it was a whole entire music Beats Week. I'm going to do a few highlights of the week. So we had our float boating, and then I'm going to be talking about our Spirit Week. So for float boating, this is our senior class, our sophomore class, juniors, more seniors, and then our freshmen. So the freshman float was Free Spirit by Khalid. Our sophomores was Bozzy Cosmic. I don't know who that's by. It must have been a good album, though. Then junior, we had our Astro theme, and then our seniors were Tyler, the Creator, See You Again. So those were all of our themes, and you can see us making some sunflowers, some hills. This is their Astro World theme in the back. They're making a huge face. It took a lot of time, but it turned out really cool. They're just putting some posters up here, and then they made a whole entire space theme float for the sophomores.
Cool.
Then we had our Spirit Week. We had Country Day. We had Pajama Day, which is R&B for some chillax music. These are our senior class. They're just taking a picture for our first rally where we could wear all black, our class color. And then we had some of our very spirited ASB kids. This is me, if you can't tell. Some of our very spirited students dressing up for Hip-Hop Day and as different artists in the hip-hop world. So that was our Spirit Week. And then for some honorable mentions, we have our field hockey team, which is undefeated. They beat Gilroy High School for the first time ever. So they're undefeated right now. We have our homecoming king and queen, Maya Tabron and Paul Mann. This is the senior float, which won, which is awesome because I'm in the senior class. We have our color guard and our marching band that actually won first place for the first time at Gilroy High School at their past competition. We had our Santa Cruz Warriors come and visit us, and they had a whole entire presentation. I wish I could show some videos. They were so awesome. They were doing flips, dunking. It was so cool. And then this is a picture of them with all of our basketball players at the school. There's a presentation for the whole school. And then right here we have Kevin Atlas, who came to our school and presented just a really awesome speech about kindness and giving back to the community, especially after what happened at the Garlic Festival. And then right now what we're planning, just a few things we're planning at the school are our senior night, which is tomorrow. It's a pink out. Then we have our BSU, which is our Black Student Union, working on the Positive Words campaign and just spreading positivity throughout our campus. And then actually our speech and debate and our BSU are working together collaboratively, and we're working on a Spirit of Martin Luther King TED Talk, or CHS's talk on January 21st. So that's what's in the works right now, and we're also planning a blood drive BSU. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job. Thank you, Ms. Clinton. Welcome to the board. You did a great job.
Yes.
I just realized on the items from closed session, in case number 2019070282, the board approved a settlement to resolve a student's educational and tort claims. Trustees Doyle, Fiak, Munshi, and Pace voted yes. Trustee Diaz voted no, and Trustees Good and Paceno were absent. I apologize for going out of order on that. Okay. Superintendents Report.
Thank you. I just told you about the Santa Clara County Office of Education Teacher of the Year recognition ceremony. And as you can see, it was a board meeting night, so we had predetermined that two of our board members would go. And so Twin and Anisha were there, and we really appreciate you both being there. We also had two cabinet members there, Kathleen and Anna, so we appreciate you being there since we couldn't be in two places at once this year. It was weird not being able to go to the event. It's always a great event, but we're so proud of Jennifer. She did a great job. Three of us, I think, went to the Christopher High South Valley Middle School. Did anybody get to that concert? I didn't get to that one. Did anyone? Enrique? Great.
Mark and James did too.
Great.
Was I there? Yeah.
Good. I'm sure it was a great concert.
It was.
I went to the Gilroy High Solar Sauna one. It was wonderful. And I'm sorry I just couldn't last that day that long. But anyway, can we switch to the picture? I know some of you went. Oh, no. I guess not. All right. we had a superintendent's meeting this month, and we talked about a variety of topics, including dental health. It was quite a range to negotiations. And it was poorly attended because that Wednesday was when all the power outages started, so half the superintendents didn't want to leave their district because they had power outages. Fortunately, we didn't. I visited Elliott on the 11th, had a great visit with our new principal, and it happened to be a SEAL this gallery walk that day, which was great. I love doing the gallery walks. I took a bunch of pictures. I know we couldn't put them all on here, but the pictures I took, there probably were, I'm guessing 90% of the parents from each of the second grade classes in attendance for the gallery walks, which are basically where the teachers display what they've accomplished in that unit. And these happen periodically throughout the school year. So this was all 3 second grades on this stage, and they were doing some of the chants that they've learned in the SEAL program in this unit. So it was great to be able to see that. Last Friday night, several of us were able to attend the fall Anthropy celebration for the YMCA, and Velia was honored at that event, as well as Mark Turner. It was great, and other people, but it was great getting a chance to be there to see Velia recognized for this special award. I think it's called Community Heroes or something like that. It was really very cool that the Y does that, and Enrique's on their board. And then the following day, it was a very busy weekend. So that was Friday night. Then the following day, Saturday morning, the same 3 people, the 3 of us went to the I'm having trouble talking tonight. I don't know why. DLAC Parent Conference at Glenview. We attend this every year. This is the 12th year of the conference. It lasts all morning, and parents attend a variety of workshops. There was a guest speaker, which was Claudia Rossi. She's on the County Office Board of Education. She's also a nurse, so she worked into her speech some comments about drugs and alcohol and nutrition and health, which I think the parents really appreciated. And then that afternoon, I was able to attend the Gilroy Garlic City Classic, which I love. It's a band competition. There were 18 bands that participated, from tiny bands that have like 20 people in them up to bands that have 200 people in them. And you should see the vehicles and the equipment they bring. It's just amazing. But I thought Gilroy High and Christopher High just did a great job. I was proud of both bands and their color guard. They just looked so professional. The music was really good. They get better and better every year. And a lot of people don't realize this. When we split and started Christopher High, the bands died for a year or 2. So it took us a while to get the bands back up and running. And I would say we're there with 2 great band directors. They're doing really, really well. Today we have the California Great Shakeout. So the entire district, every department, every school, every staff person and kid in the district at 10:17 today dropped, and I always do it wrong.
Duck, cover, hold on.
I'm not doing it. Anyway, we did the drill.
Duck, cover, hold on. This is important.
We did the drill. All of our students did it, and then everyone evacuated the buildings. And I think within about 5 minutes, we were talking to every single school and department. Dan calls every one of them on the radio, and we were able to reach everyone except one site where we discovered we had a radio problem, one of our preschools. And then he calls back about 10 minutes later. In theory, if we had an earthquake, what would happen is, of course, we'd duck and the rest of that, and then we'd leave the building. And all of our maintenance crews would go to every site and check the gas and all that kind of thing. So we do that in our drill. The maintenance people did go to the sites. It's just they didn't need to do a walkthrough because it wasn't an earthquake. But it's a really good drill, because if there were an earthquake, they would go and shut off the gas and help deal with whatever facilities issues we had as a result of the earthquake. And I thought today's was meaningful because we just had a 4.5 in Hollister. What was it, a 4 point something up in San Francisco? 4 earthquakes over 3.5 in just a span of a few days in our area. So that gets your attention. I've continued my fall site visits a little shorter than normal. I'm not going to every single classroom unless it's a small school, Elliott and Rucker. I was able to get to all of them. But I went to Luigi, Elliott, and Rod Kelly, And I was just so impressed. Our schools are doing such a great job. I see a lot of faithful implementation of benchmark and Go Math, and we're now in our 3rd and 4th years of those adoptions. I see a lot of other really good things happening. SEAL's incredible, of course. It's just a great program. Got to see a little bit of GLAD in one school, so it was really nice. I have a lot of visits coming up. I had to move a lot of them. So now I'm jamming. Got a lot of site visits coming up on crutches, so that'll be fun. And then, of course, every month I have lots and lots of meetings. And so this month, what was interesting at Rotary this week was the Gilroy Foundation came and did a presentation about the Gilroy Garlic Festival Shooting Fund, which is now at $1.7 million. Wow. Isn't that amazing? $1.7 million have been raised in our community. And some people outside of our community have contributed. They created a process within a week of the shooting for distributing the funds, which involves an application process. And a 7 or 8 person board has been meeting with every single victim and their family. And you can tell it's just had a powerful impact on their lives. So there were 3 people that died and a total of 20 victims. And they have been ongoing meetings with all of them. Every one of the board members is assigned to 2 or 3. And at this point, they've distributed all but about $200,000 of the funds. So it's a pretty remarkable thing that's happened in our community. And then there are a lot of upcoming events. I do want to highlight November 7th and 8th. I know some of you have already confirmed that you'll be a Mock the Rock interviewer on one of those 2 days. We really need you this year. For some reason, we're short of interviewers. So if you could do it, let me know, or Mark Turner, either way, just directly to Mark. But we'd appreciate having you participate. It's about 10 to 12 on either of those mornings, not a long time. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 7, the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote, please.
Enrique Diaz,
Yes.
BC Doyle,
Yes.
Twin Pyock,
Yes.
Mark Good,
Yes.
Anisha Munchi,
Yes.
James Pace,
Yes.
Linda Paceno absent.
Thank you very much. This brings us to item 8D, Resolution 1920-11, proclaiming the week of October 13th through 19th, 2019, as the Week of the School Administrator. Dr. Flores.
Right, I'll just briefly introduce this item. This is an item that was created in 1999 by the Association of California School Administrators, which is our administrative association that we're all members of, thanks to the district. That is a covered benefit for all of us. And in observance of the importance of educational leadership at the school district, and county levels, the second full week in the month of October each year is designated as the Week of the School Administrator. Research has repeatedly shown that quality school leadership is essential to student success. So we have a resolution that I would like the board to, and I'll participate in reading into the record.
All right. Anisha, you don't have to participate in the reading. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start. I'll start. Whereas leadership matters for California's public education system and the more than 6 million students it serves.
Whereas school administrators are passionate, lifelong learners who believe in the value of a quality public education, and
whereas the title school administrator is a broad term used to define many education leadership posts: superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals, assistant principals, special education and adult education leaders, curriculum and assessment leaders, school business officials, classified educational leaders, and other school district employees are considered administrators. And
whereas providing quality service for student success is paramount for the profession, and
whereas most school administrators began their careers as teachers, the average administrator has served in public education for more than a decade. Most of California's superintendents have served in education for more than 20 years. Such experience is beneficial in their work to effectively and efficiently lead public education and improve student achievement. And
Whereas public schools operate with lean management systems, across the nation, public schools employ fewer managers and supervisors than most public and private sector industries, including transportation, food service, manufacturing, utilities, construction, publishing, and public administration. And
whereas school leaders depend on a network of support from school communities, fellow administrators, teachers, parents, students, businesses, community members, board trustees, colleges and universities, community and faith-based organizations, elected officials, and district and county staff and resources to promote ongoing student achievement and school success. And
whereas research shows great schools are led by great principals and great districts are led by great superintendents. These site leaders are supported by extensive administrative networks throughout the state. And
whereas the state of California has declared the second full week of October as the Week of the School Administrator in Education Code Section 44015.1, and
whereas the future of California's public education system depends upon the quality of its leadership now, therefore,
be it resolved by the Gilroy Unified School District that all school leaders be commended for their contributions they make to successful student achievement.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Enrique Diaz,
Yes.
BC Doyle,
Yes.
Gwen Pioch,
Yes.
Mark Good,
yes.
Anisha Munchi,
Yes.
James Pace,
Yes.
Linda Paceno absent.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for all your hard work. Okay. Item 8A, monthly district cash flow update. Ms. Smith.
The less tech I have in my hand, the better. Good evening, Board. I wanted to bring you up to date on our monthly cash flow. And these numbers on the spreadsheet all represent still the revised adopted. We're currently working on first interim right now. So the first 3 months, July through September, are based off of actuals. And you'll see that the beginning cash balance is a little over $17.9 million. The money that came in for that month is a little over $5.3 million. And then our total expenditures, including payroll, a little over $11.2. Of that 11.2, down at the bottom, you'll see that the payroll just only for certificated and your classified and all of the statutory benefits, health and welfare and everything are a little over 8.5. And that's 76% of the total expenditures. And just as a reminder, we did not take out a TRAN this year. And our cash balance right now for the end of September is a little over $13 million. The rest of the spreadsheet, October through June, is based off of projections. And this is just another way of looking at our cash inflow and outflow. Any questions?
Questions of the board? We have enough money?
We have enough money as of right now.
Perfect. Thank you very
We're
much
doing
for your
well.
presentation. And by enough money, I mean, of course, to meet our obligations. We don't have enough money for our schools, but that's a different problem. Okay, item 8B, California Dashboard Local Indicators. Mr. Schrock.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to pull that other one up first. All right. Yeah, let me pull that other one open there.
Let's go here.
Perfect. All right.
Control.
All right. Yep. Nice. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Took me a second there. Good evening, Superintendent Flores and President Pace and board members of the board. I am presenting this evening. My first presentation this evening is on the local indicators for the California dashboard. But what I wanted to pull up first here was a look at the California dashboard. We have some members of the board that maybe weren't on the board, I think, last year when we talked about the California dashboard in the past. And so I just want to take a second here. So this that I have up on the screen now is not in the attachment because it's not really related directly to the presentation. But if you just look up at the gauges there, this is the new California accountability system. And so you may have seen this and heard about this, that the schools and districts are now being kind of tracked on their growth around chronic absenteeism, suspension rate, English learner progress, college and career readiness, graduation rate, and then the academics and CASP, English Language Arts and Mathematics. So there's a number of different measures, but then in addition you can see there the local indicators in which the districts are doing a self-reflection on some other areas that aren't easily measured from outside. And so tonight I'm going to present those local indicators, that self-reflection that we did, and that's those boxes there. And so we have around our basic services, teacher and materials, our academic standards, implementation, the parent and family engagement, local climate survey, and broad course of study. So what will happen is this evening I'll present our self-study, our self-reflection on that, and then I input that information into the California dashboard, and there'll be a new release, we'll have new gauges in December. Then we'll have our new colors associated with our recent CASP scores, last year's suspension rates and graduation rates, and then every district will have loaded their self-study into the dashboard so that you or any member of the public can then go in and see what is that self-study. So it often gets kind of glossed over as compared to the rest of the dashboard with the gauges, but that's kind of how it is put into place. We're going to be able to, is that going to be big enough? You're close to your screen there, right? Mm-hmm. I can zoom in on some things. So what I've brought here is I have the whole document that we will be turning in, and I'll just kind of go through. I'm going to summarize some of these, and then if you have individual questions about some of the statements and some of the areas, certainly feel free to ask, and we can pull up Ms. Bierman or Ms. Padilla, who oversees a number of these areas with the elementary and secondary schools. Along with each of these areas, then you'll notice in the document that at the end of each area there's a little box that says criteria met, or not met for 2 years. And so when we say that we met the criteria, it's not saying that we've kind of accomplished everything we wanted to do there. The task for the districts is, have you met the criteria? Did you do a self-analysis? That's what we met. Yes, in each of these areas, we have met the requirement to do a self-analysis and report it to the board, right? And in some of these areas, you'll see we have some strengths and we have some weaknesses that we need to keep moving forward on, but we've met that for this year, and each subsequent year that we will continue to do a self-analysis in these areas to report to the dashboard. All right, so our first one is kind of the basic areas. What is our status of teachers? You can see in terms of misassignments, we have just one misassignment this year, less than 1%. The copy of standards-aligned materials, we have no missing standards-aligned materials in our district. And then the instances of facilities not meeting good repair. This is actually a year ago that hasn't been redone since last year. I think they're in the process right now of doing the new report. 2.65%, and talking with Dan, the majority of those are around South Valley that we know we have some needs, and most likely will be a similar percentage, and we know, right, that there's already plans in motion, right, to move forward with the needs of South Valley. The next area are a series of charts kind of to reflect how are we doing in a number of the academic standards. So the first one is on professional learning or professional development around those standards. And you see we rated ourselves fairly high. We kind of under full implementation. We've done a lot of PD under English Language Arts, PD under mathematics. We've been implementing now a couple of years of next generation science standard PD. You can see where we put ourselves a little lower in history, social science, and ELD. We've done PD there, but it's also kind of a reflection that we're not where we want to be necessarily in the implementation of those standards. Even though we have rolled those out and we have materials that do meet the needs of integrating ELD into the curriculum. Charts around instructional materials. We self-reflected fairly high on this, right? We do have instructional materials, right, that are aligned to the Common Core standards. The one that was low is history, social science. The new materials, I think, will be piloted next year, right, for 2021. So we know we're in the old, kind of the end of the old cycle of history, social science, but that's coming up soon. Oh, the other one's at the bottom of the page. So implementing policies to support staff. This next chart is support staff in reflecting on their own needs. And so this is where really we refer to our academic coaches. Our academic coaches are out there working with teachers, doing PD, helping teachers reflect on what are their needs, what are the next steps they need to do. And so a lot of this we said, you know what, we've got implementation going. We're not full implementation in many areas, but we do have things in place to keep moving us forward there. And then a chart in some of the other academic areas, career technical ed. We've got increased pathways, but we're still implementing the career technical ed plan, visual and performing arts, world languages, physical education, fairly good implementation in those. And then the last one is looking at how we're supporting teachers to reflect on the needs of individual teachers or groups of teachers. And so, we have a professional development committee that reflects on what are the needs for professional development from one year to the next. And then in addition, the new evaluation tool that we're implementing with teachers actually measures the growth, measures teachers based on the growth model on the teaching standards. So it's working with individual teachers through that evaluation process to measure that. So we rated ourselves at initial implementation in most of those areas, not full as we continue forward on that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Since I was not here last year, what is the process for your self-reflection?
So this is really our Ed Services team. So Ed Services team, as we get together, the secondary, Ms. Padilla working at secondary, Ms. Bierman working at elementary, and comparing kind of where points of reimplementation might be a little stronger at elementary, one secondary. That's why we've got some bullet points here. So in each of these areas, we kind of put a few bullet points in to say, what are the evidence that we have that where we might be to say, are we at, kind of an initial partial implementation, or are we feeling K-12, do we really have it? So it is really an Ed Services reflection on all of the work that we've done over the last year.
Okay, so it's kind of like cabinet.
Right, exactly, in the Ed Services Department of District Office, exactly. Yeah, good question. So the next priority is around parent and family engagement, and this one is actually, if anybody remembers from last year's presentation, last year I just reported out on our parent survey, but I have a feeling the state kind of saw what districts were reporting and said, you know what, we want a little more specificity, and so they actually changed the format here, and they put it into kind of a check boxes, and they really broke it into three main areas: building relationships, building partnerships, and seeking input. So they want you to really reflect on your district engagement or our district engagement with parents in a number of different areas. And what's the quality of that engagement? Not just, did you give a survey? And yes, the parents took the survey. Last year we said, yeah, we gave a survey and we got info for the parents. And apparently the state's saying, let's reflect a little bit more deeply on that relationship. So here, in building relationships, they want to know, what are those activities that you're doing that are really, looking at a way to develop the capacity of staff to develop relationships, that the community is engaged in those. And so then in the paragraph down below, we have a little bit of narrative how, by having ELAC groups and the DLAC, and by SEAL schools with a number of parent engagement activities. I think we saw an example with our student rep, right? Talked about the SEAL family engagement, right, at El Roble today was a perfect example of that, right? So some of those, and so we know we have some implementation going on those, but, you're going to look across all of these parent and family engagement ones and see that I don't think in any one did we give ourselves a 4. At what point is the district fully implementing the parent and family engagement that they're going to want to see, right? This is always going to be an ongoing challenge, right? So I think it's important, the narrative is important to say, what are those activities that we're doing that we are capturing those things. The next one is a series of questions and reflections over building partnerships. And, this one is getting at, are there times when teachers have a chance to meet with families? So, for example, yes, we do once a year with the elementary and middle school conferences. We have that time set aside. But at the high school level, we don't have something aside where we're guaranteeing teachers are meeting with families in that kind of setting. but are also captured in the narrative about, programs like Project to Inspire, parent workshops, the food banks, the health resources through schooling services that we're getting out to parents and giving them opportunities through connections in the school. So we do have a lot of things in place there. One of the questions that they're asking us to reflect on is, and what about underrepresented groups, right? Are we doing this across all of our groups? And I think, you'll see evidence of our DLAC and our ELAC, where English learner parents at all the schools are having opportunities to be engaged. But the question then is, to what extent, how successful are we on that? So I think we have those programs in place, but we can always continue to move forward and to have more participation, more engagement. And then the last one is seeking input for decision making. And this one we kind of took in the concept of the SIPSA plans that each school has, their own school plan, and our LCAP plan. Yes, we have the survey. We're actually in our survey window right now, right, seeking input in this next few weeks for parents towards next year's LCAP. But in addition to that, we engage directly with a lot of different groups, really trying to get the representation from all of our community. Special needs parents, ELAC, SPAC is involved, the migrant PAC, advisory council, as well as school site councils, parent clubs. So we do a real intentional effort over the course of February and March to get specific input from a number of different groups on both the school plans and the LCAP plan as we go through those revision cycles each year. What I'd like to have us prioritize this year is to have this reflection. So this process here, since it's new, this was a self-reflection of our Ed Services team, but we'll get a few of these elements built into that cycle this year in February, because this is some self-reflection on how do we feel we're doing, but we didn't get a lot of input to say, parents, would you agree with our self-reflection? Right? What do you feel, parents, in terms of how we are doing to engage you and provide these different opportunities? So that'll be something we'll be able to build into that process this spring, so that next year, when I come back next fall, it'll have kind of a couple different, hopefully, perspectives on this. We kind of, in this first time through this process, we didn't rate ourselves very high in most of these, because it's like, well, we know we have things in place, but we know we have work to do. All right, and then the next one, 4 out of 5 here, I think, is that right? Priority 6, the school climate. So this is actually not new data. We administered the Healthy Kids Survey, and it was administered 2 years ago. It's administered every other year to all 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th graders in the district. However, when I reported the data last year, some of the areas of reporting students, levels of expectations, levels of caring adult relationships, safety at school were fairly low. And so after a follow-up, if some of you remember, after a follow-up to that, I went back and dug into the data a little more of how Healthy Kids was reporting that data back to us. And on a number of these questions, Healthy Kids was saying, if the students don't mark the answer very true or very much agree, they weren't kind of saying, you aren't successful in that area. And then, since then, they've actually created a new dashboard of sorts. calschools.org has a new dashboard where they're reporting all of the Healthy Kids Survey data for all the state and individual districts. It's actually very nice, has some nice graphs. If parents want to go in, it's fairly friendly, clicking on schools, clicking on these different questions to see how are these being reported. And so in this one, it's interesting that they're actually combining if a student answered very true or pretty true, or I agree very much or pretty much, they're kind of gathering those top two responses together. And the data actually, I think, I don't have last year's, how I presented it last year, but I think in the area of caring relationships, it was maybe at 30% of our students. I should have brought that number. But if we see there a number of these, we're in the areas of the 60s to 70s, a number of these. However, even that, as I dug into it, you'll see I separated out this year how the secondary answer the questions with how the elementary answer the questions, which is to be expected in many cases, right? That 5th graders may answer differently than 9th or 11th graders on some of these questions. But it was interesting if you, let's just take the bottom one, the safety at school. So 78% of elementary students said they felt safe or very safe at school. 51% of secondary students said they felt safe or very safe at school. So then you say, what? I can't believe that half of our students don't feel safe at school. But then if you look into the data, they have the option to say, I felt neither safe nor unsafe, 30%. So then if you really look at it, it's really 80% of the students that don't feel there's a safety issue at school, right? So even the way they're reporting it now, that 50% I feel is a bit misleading, so I wanted to kind of pull some of that out so we don't kind of become alarmed when we see only 50% of secondary students feel safe at school. It doesn't really accurately report the data, so I wanted to just make sure those were all out there for us to see. And then we are in the 2-year cycle, so we are actually in the process of getting ready to implement the Healthy Kids Survey again for this year, and we'll have a new set of data come out this spring. We'll make available to everybody and then include it back in this report next year to see where we're at on these. And our last one is a broad course of study, and these are a series of questions to say, to what extent do we have a broad course of study across our district? And, for the most part, we kind of have said we've got a lot of things in place. We have full classes of mathematics, English, science, physical education, social studies, especially, you can see by master schedules at the 6-12 level. And in elementary, there's been an increase in science instruction in particular. We heard mentioned, I think it was one of our principals today mentioned that the benchmark English language arts curriculum has units of science and social studies built in to make sure that we're getting a more rounded curriculum at the elementary level. So we're really seeing some success in that area. We do know we have some limitations. The middle school, for example, a number of times has been mentioned that we do have limited electives at the middle school level. Because of the way the schedule is set up, there is only opportunities outside of those core areas for some band and choir for students. And then at a couple of the other ones we mentioned, the continuation high school also does not have a lot of outside of those core graduation requirement areas. Although an art class was added this year, I believe, was brought back to the continuation high school. And electives available through online independent study classes, exactly. So that's kind of a not so quick summary of our local indicators. I don't know if there's other questions about any of those, but as we report it to you, and we will load those up as part of our dashboard that comes out in December again.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Board, do you have any questions, comments, discussion?
So the one comment I had was, if you can you go to the previous slide? I'm sorry, the one that the students feel
safety,
safe.
the school climate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so even though the numbers are misleading, I still think that the percentage of kids that feel neither safe nor unsafe, that's an issue too, because that means that they're either indifferent or that, like they don't care.
Right.
So I see that's an issue as well.
I guess how did the students? What made them answer that? Right.
Yeah.
Right. What would to answer neither safe nor unsafe? Is it because they don't think about safety, or is there an issue there? Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Could be the question for us to continue to reflect on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Yes.
I had a question on the self-reflection. I didn't get a sense of how many people participated in that.
So once again, this was just our Ed Services team.
Well, and number, just like a number.
4 or 5 in our department. Okay. Exactly.
And I have to say, you guys were pretty hard on yourselves.
Yeah.
You guys are doing some good stuff, I got to say.
Right.
But it's noble, and I appreciate the fact that you guys feel like there's room for improvement. But when I see stuff like the DLAG meeting, and it's that we had the parent conference that we had this past weekend, that you guys had this past weekend. And in that room, it's easy to kind of feel like there wasn't a lot of people because it's a big room, but there was easily 60 people there.
Right,
people, families.
Right, and those are the exact types of things we're doing. I think if you look at the way the state set it up, your choice is either a 3 initial implementation or full implementation. It's like, how about a partial implementation, right? Right, exactly.
Thank you.
I'm going to start using pretty true.
Exactly. Pretty well implemented. How about that?
Pretty true. Any other discussion? Thank you very much for the presentation.
Right. Thank you.
Are you up again? Let's see.
I am.
Yes.
Student Achievement Results 2019, California Assessment of Student performance, and progress. Mr. Schrock.
Oh, I'm back. We got it up there? We do. We're good. Oops. You got it? Did you get it up there? All right. Shuffle my papers. All right, there we go. Okay, good evening again. I am back here again to present on our 2019 CASP results. I wasn't sure if I was going to be on this board meeting, but they just became public this past week, the last week in time for finalizing presentation to be able to present this evening, which is great. We have actually had our CASP results unofficially. We've had the CASP reports, we've had our data, we've had teachers that are able to see the data, share it with the students, but we kind of haven't had the official results, especially to see how did the state do, how did other counties do, so we can really kind of give a comprehensive report. And so that's kind of what we wait for each year before we give the report to the board. So I want to start out with here tonight to look at the new website. So if you do go to the new website, the CASP CDE website, they have a new look. They've got new graphs and always trying to improve and make it a little more friendly. And actually, in this case, I feel they have achieved it. Not always, but in this case, they have. It's really nice. You go to the opening website, and it really has, here's the statewide, state of California percentages. It's real clear what's that state in ELA and in math. And then it's actually, there's a little bar up here. You can just type in Gilroy, boom, pop up the Gilroy Unified results, and it's quick. So quick to find a school, and then very quick to choose subgroups. And so I really do feel it's actually much more user-friendly on this opening graphic page. For those of you who may be new to the CASP, I just want to remind us that there are 4 levels, right? So the level 1, the standard not met on ELA or mathematics. Level 2, standard nearly met. Level 3, standard met. And then exceeded standard exceeded level 4. And so in all of the presentations you've seen, what I'll present tonight and as the principals present, we often look at what percentage of our students are at met or exceeded. And so Trustee Diaz asked this evening, were those numbers or percentages? And in that case, I think the principal in the presentation just had the numbers, but it was the percentages of students who met or exceeded standard, right? Because that's our goal. What percentage of our students are meeting or exceeding standard? And that's where we want to see that we're making those gains. And so we can see in Gilroy Unified for 2019, 48% met or exceeded standard in English Language Arts and 41% in mathematics. And you saw the previous slide, the state, but then what I have here is a slide kind of comparing, let's see the last 5 years. We've been in this assessment system for 5 years. What does it look like, both for Gilroy Unified and for the state of California? So you can see some very similar patterns. We all made a jump that first year into that second year, and then it's been a little bit more of a struggle across time, right? Everybody's kind of been making that slight growth. We had a little dip. We're back up again in ELA, which is great to see. And then in mathematics as well, we've been ahead of the state in mathematics as an average across all of these years. And we had some flat years and then took about a half a percentage point jump this past year. And then same with the state, has had some steady growth there as well. How does that look across the grade levels? So here, first, if we look at English Language Arts, so this is Gilroy Unified compared to California. And so we can see we're very level with the state in grades 3, 4, and 5, but not quite up to the state averages in grades 6, 7, 8, and 11. So there's where we do want to be able to see if we can make some gains. We heard some principals, you guys are hearing the SIPSA presentations right across the board about what are the different tasks. Principal this evening talking about focusing on reading fluency, comprehension. So what are each school doing out there to tackle some of these areas where we've had some dips or haven't made the gains we'd like to see? In mathematics, on the other hand, we are equal or above the state in all grade levels, except 11th grade. We had a dip this past year. We have been right on par with the state in our 11th grade. but you can see across all the grade levels and even through middle school above the state average or very close to the state average, right, slightly above. You can see it in Gilroy Unified as well as across the state. Those math scores do go down over those years, right? As those tests go up in difficulty, we're seeing what we see in Gilroy is not unusual. And that 11th grade test, which we have to remember, they don't take the test in 9th and 10th grade. In the 11th grade, they get a 3-year combined test, right? It's that Math 1, 2, and 3, which incorporates the Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Probability, Statistics, kind of all of those 3 levels of high school standards as that kind of college readiness gateway test to see, are students college ready or nearly college ready? And, that 30% or so, that is the challenge to say, getting students beyond that threshold to say how raise the number of students proficient in math in 11th grade to give more students that access to a 4-year college straight out of high school. How does this look like comparing Gilroy Unified and California? So the blue are language arts, and then the neighboring counties, Monterey County, San Benito County, all the rest of Santa Clara County, and Santa Cruz County. So you can see in English language arts, for the most part, we are right on. We're below the Santa Clara County average, but we're going to look a little bit more at the subgroup of Santa Clara County in another couple slides to look at that a little bit more carefully. And then in mathematics, also slightly above or at in comparison. So we're seeing some very similar trends. Some also we're seeing a lot of that 1% gain per year or a little drop or gain on those other counties as well. Some similar trends in our neighboring counties. And then as we look at our subgroups, we see that we still, as the state of California, do still have performance gaps that we have to deal with, right? When we look at our different subgroups, our socioeconomic, our EVER-EL, which are the English learners combined with our reclassified students, seeing how they're performing, our students with disabilities. One note on the students with disabilities, it was nice to see in Gilroy Unified an increase in ELA, and you'll see on the next slide increase in mathematics. If you remember, the subgroup there was a subgroup that put us in the kind of the differentiated assistance, and so it'll be interesting to see that may not be enough gain to say that we would not qualify for that differentiated assistance or targeted assistance and support this year, but it may be that low red. If you remember, we were in the red on the dashboard for that subgroup, and if you just make some slight gains, it may take us out of the red and put us into the orange for this year. We'd like to see continued steady growth there. That will be the challenge, right, over the course of years.
So
but this, I'm sorry.
It's interesting. Do you not know? Is it not, are the rules clear on how you move from red to orange, or?
They are clear, but they don't do it by percentage of students meeting or exceeding standard. They go by average scale score for each grade level, take the average scale score distance from a 3, take all of those average together. So I could go through and do that calculation and do a pretty good guess on it.
Okay.
The
state can do it too.
What's that?
The state can do it for us.
The state can do it for us. I can do it and say, I'm going to predict that, yeah, we're very close to it. Let's see where it plays out. If we wanted to know 1 month ahead, there's a formula to go in and do it, but we don't usually look at our data that way, and so you may see that we made it in English language arts, but not in mathematics, even though we made a 1% gain in English language arts, and on the next slide we made a 2% gain in mathematics by students who met or exceeded, but that may not be the exact formula that's used because of the way they look at the scale score, if that makes sense.
My real question is, it's deterministic, right? That is, you could reproduce it. It's not the state waving a wand and kind of saying.
Correct.
Okay.
I would have it's always a challenge to make sure you're including the students that they're including of every student who is here, right?
It is possible to do it. Whether or not you do it, that's a different problem.
Exactly. So on the next slide, once again, we do have we do have similar performance gap issues. We do see that this is centered very much around economic disadvantage in these slides, and I'm going to show you in these next 2 slides, a specific case. We talk about this Hispanic subgroup as a subgroup for Gilroy, but actually as I talked about in the past, Hispanic students make up 70% of the Gilroy Unified student population. So it's not a subgroup. It is our majority group in Gilroy Unified. And then if we take a look at that Hispanic subgroup and then say, okay, of this group of Hispanic students, then let's look at it by the issue of poverty, those who are economically disadvantaged and those who are not. So here, that percentage of these students who are economically disadvantaged, here we see those scores are lower than that average. But comparing across Santa Clara County, and this is what I wanted to point out, in both English language arts and mathematics, we are performing as well as or better than Santa Clara County in this significant subgroup. And then if we look at the other part of the other half of the Hispanic students that are not economically disadvantaged, we see scores that are well above the state and district average in English language arts. We see that across California, we see that in Santa Clara County, and once again with those, we are outperforming the county in both English language arts and mathematics, and those are outperforming the district and state averages. So it's really important to remind ourselves who are our students in Gilroy, and to what extent that does affect the economic disadvantage does affect those scores, and that's what our goal is in education, right? To look at that, to provide an equitable education.
Question on that one. How do I read that? Like 57%?
So once again, this is the percentage of students who were at level 3 or 4. 57% of the students hit level 3 or 4 on the CASP in English language arts, okay. And then 47% were at level 3 or 4 in mathematics of Hispanic students that were not economically disadvantaged, okay. And then compared across to the state and the county. And then to finish up then on our last slide, just wanted to show the new look of the parent reports. Some of us don't have kids in schools taking tests anymore, and so wanted to see what those new parent reports look like. And so they did really remodel those from previous years, trying to make them a little more friendly. And in this case now they've included kind of your child average compared to the school average compared to the state average. So they're kind of saying, okay, how are you doing compared to the rest of the state? And how is your son or daughter doing compared to the rest of the state? And then on the next page, here's where they're continuing to show multiple years of growth. So, the student in grade 4 was in this level 3, grade 5 hit the level 4, maintained the grade 5 in grade, or level 4 in grade 6 then. One thing I liked on the previous reports, they emphasized a little bit more that scale score number. So here it's kind of hidden here, the scale score, because I would want to know, okay, was there continued scale score increase, right? Was this an upward line? And actually, this actually tends to be kind of an up and then a down, and it's a bit hidden in this new presentation. I kind of like that graph, but maybe that was less important to other people in the past.
A 6th grade 2634 is comparable with a 5th grade 2666.
So once again, this is a scale score range, right? So they're still in the level 4 range. So those ranges go up. So
but are they? Are those apples and apples, right? Or is does 5th grade have a totally different scale, and 6th grade has a different scale?
Their scales kind of go up like this gradually. So you could have been high on a level 4, and then as it moves up a little bit, you could flatten and still be in the level 4, right? You could drop a couple of years and still be in a level 4, but eventually you wouldn't because those cut points raise. So they raise the cut points. They want you to be able to look across those multiple years and say, is there growth going on? Maybe maybe you're staying within a level 3, but maybe you're growing within that level 3 category. Is your scale score growing? Should indicate there's actually academic growth happening from year to year.
So you could say about this example student, they went down 32 points.
Right, exactly.
Okay. That is a fair thing.
Correct, exactly. But stayed within the level 4, right. The other thing I just want to point out this year is that the state has gone to a completely online reporting system for parents. So they're no longer producing written reports. They've worked with all of the state information systems, and they load them automatically into the information system. So our role was to email out and call out to all the parents and say, check your area's portal. There is now scores in there for you to see both your CASP scores and your English Language Arts LPAC scores, which I should present to you next month. It's still in the state of release. So parents need to use their portals to get in to see those results. They can do it on their phone, they can do it on their computer. And so my goal is for sites to continue supporting those parents. And if a parent comes in and says, I can't get into my portal, I'm not comfortable with that, for sites to print it out. We can print it out and support those parents. So I've been having sites support parents, and now we don't want to frustrate them, but we also want to help parents move into using that Aries portal because it has other information that they can use to support their student over their time in Gilroy Unified. So
what % of families use Aries in our district now?
So approximately 85% have a portal. But at the elementary level in particular, it's not used on a regular basis. There isn't as much information in there for elementary families. It's mostly test scores and attendance. And as an elementary parent, you pretty much know if you're taking your child to school or not, you're getting them to school. The secondary level, because the secondary grade book is in there, then we have a much higher participation by parents, but still not at 100%. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is that the last page? I'm used to a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Page
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There was no question.
Oh, well,
Just
now I know how to pay attention.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments from the board? I think we've been asking them as we went along. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kermit, I'm sorry. Actually, this is Anisha. I'm jumping in late.
It's too late. I'm sorry, Anisha. My presentation's over.
I was trying to play with my mute button, so. So I have the question. So we have a large percentage of parents that are English language, they speak Spanish, but also we have a large percentage of parents that may not understand this. What steps are we taking to educate our parents on the new dashboard? It's a complex system. You see, circles with colors, and it's different. It's new.
Speaking of,
other than printing out reports, what else are we doing to educate parents on how to understand this data on the dashboard?
So you're speaking to the California dashboard as opposed to their own individual student CASP results, then?
Both.
Right,
so
right.
When they get this report, and like James asked a good question, and I think James has a really good understanding of this, and even he was asking, you have a range, and how do you figure out where your student fits in? So how do we break down this data and this information for parents who may not know what to make of it?
Right. I think in particular when we talk about the results for our English learners around the LPAC and the CASP, we encourage our ELAC groups in particular to explain to parents both how to get that. So I've trained, I worked with DLAC, and I'm actually going out to one of the ELAC meetings next month to say both how do you access Aries, and then what are the reports in Aries once you get them. So really we look to our ELAC groups to say, how can they continue to support parents and provide that Spanish presentation to Spanish-speaking parents in particular, right, to understand the reports. One of the nice things is that the reports now are in Spanish and English or other languages as needed by the students. But that, as you said, Ms. Mucci, that still doesn't get to the point that they will be able to understand it just because it's in a language they speak. And that continues to be our task, I agree.
But have we considered maybe doing workshops and, inviting families and saying, we'll help you navigate the system? At least they get some sense of how to even navigate the dashboard. Because, again, being an educator myself, we've all had to learn this, and it changes every year, so it's not easy. So I'm just wondering if we can do something to educate our parents and show them how to navigate the portal and make sense of these colors and circles.
Right, exactly. I think I think your point is well taken, and I think it's our job to continue to work with sites work with principals and the facilitators, those site representatives who will hold those parent meetings to make sure they're comfortable, right? In many cases, sometimes our principals too are, in the dashboard in particular, are still coming to an understanding of how do we explain these dashboard colors. The CASP scores they're much more comfortable with. They've been with us now for a number of years, and so those they are comfortable with. But maybe it's supporting principals to say, take advantage of your parent club meetings, your school site council meetings, and your ELAC meetings. What are your different venues? And say, okay, how can we agendize that across a number of different platforms at the school sites? That's a very good point.
Right. That's all I was suggesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I actually think it ties into the previous self-reflection where you guys gave yourself 3, 4, 5. It would kind of tie into that. And already I see an item for next year's parent conference, that kind of thing as well.
So you're saying we need to lower our self-reflection scores already?
No,
then I see. I understand.
But how much of this is it that the student doesn't take it seriously, that doesn't take the test seriously, or doesn't?
There's always going to be that element, right? There's always going to be an element of, so it's always nice to look at. It's one number a year that we have, right? And we know that some of the kids didn't take it seriously. We know that a lot of kids did take it seriously because the teachers emphasize it. The teachers have them in their class. As much as possible, we have the math teachers administer the math test. We have core teachers at middle school administer the English test, so that there's a sense of responsibility and proving to yourself and your class and how well we're doing, right? And so it's not going to work for everybody, right? But having said that, when we get the results back, and what we want to emphasize for teachers as well is that score does not define that kid, right? The score comes back and the student's a level 2. Well, that's just one score in a number of other scores you should have. For example, we administer star reading multiple times throughout the year as benchmarks, and sometimes teachers administer it in between benchmarks. There's an assessment. You have multiple opportunities to say, how is the student performing apart from my class assessments? Okay, that CASP didn't go well for that student last year for whatever reason. I have other evidence to show this student is performing very well in my class. We're going to work and maybe support him or her to try a little harder on this next year's CASP. Hope they're not sick that day, right? Yeah. Good question.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this brings us to item 9, monthly facilities maintenance and operations update. Mr. McAuliffe and Mr. Nadeau.
We don't get a presentation? Good evening, board. Dr. Flores, President Pace. This evening, we're going to talk to you really quickly. We'll do a facilities update. I would love to talk to you about Brownell. However, nothing exciting is happening there. We're digging in the dirt still. We're doing utilities. However,
that sounds very exciting.
It is exciting to me, but every time I talk about it out loud, people fall asleep. One thing I do want to tell you about that project is Flint Builders, who is the general contractor, is hosting and supporting or doing a fundraiser for us for one of our schools, El Roble. And they have a art program. So on the 26th of October in San Francisco, there is the Great Sandcastle Challenge. And this is a fundraiser that it's designed to bring money back into our elementary schools for extra programs, specifically targeting art and music and other art programs. So on the 26th, Flint will be taking a classroom full of students up to San Francisco, and we will be doing a fundraiser there. Should be great. They've actually done a lot of fundraising on the outside. I was trying to get some numbers tonight. They don't have those for us yet, but I'll be able to report that out later. So we will be doing a sandcastle challenge. They've hired a sandcastle coach. This is how serious they're taking it. This coach has been, I guess, awarded many awards around the states for whatever sandcastle.
Big in the sandcastle community.
Yes. I saw one of them. It was 112 feet long.
Wow.
And it was a dragon with castles all over it. It was amazing. So that's what's happening on the Brownell site. The pool is well underway. We've got demo almost completely done. If you've been over to the site at all, almost
what pool? say the name of the school where the pool is.
At the Gilroy High School pool replacement project. There's the demo on both of the existing pools is almost completely done. That'll leave a massive cavity in the ground. Then we're going to reshape that cavity to be the new pool, and then they start playing in the dirt with underground utilities. It's really exciting, so I can't wait to take you guys on a tour relatively soon. Let's see. And then finally, for the portable village demolition, actually I'll hold off on that because...
At what site?
For the Gilroy High School portable demolition project. I will refer you to items B through D for details on those. And with that, I will hand it over to the guy I loaned my tie to.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Flores, President Pace, and School Board. I have several items for you tonight. The first is cost of services, ratification of cost of services with EF&S Concrete to replace the damaged and failing asphalt in Glenview. I'm sure board members that have been here for a few years recall we've changed the asphalt and concrete hardscape at Glenview in phases. We've spent quite a bit of money there, and the last section was not done. We did have a budget established for it in 2016, but did not proceed until now. But when it failed miserably. In the last few weeks, it was coming apart, and we couldn't safe the area off adequately. So I'm glad that Joe from EF&S was able to schedule this in and get it done. His unit costing was very similar to what it was in 2016. So the cost of that project, which was completed yesterday, was $86,160. The next item is also a ratification of cost of services. This is to add new hardware and a few more gates to Gilroy High. These are egress-exit gates. There were concerns on the site about being able to adequately get off the site quickly. We did review the site with the Assistant Fire Marshal. We do meet code compliance, but we all agreed that there could be more exit gates to the site. So before we do proceed with this, I do have the Gilroy Police Department will do a review of what we're proposing also. But it's mostly adding crash bar equipment to each gate that we felt there was a need to be able to make an emergency exit. And we will also add emergency exit signage to those gates. The cost of that with ASI is $43,925. Next item is approval of contract with Anderson Tree Care Specialists for the removal of the trees in the backside of Mount Madonna High School. I don't know if you recall, in the back corner behind the campus, there's several pine trees there that have become a nuisance. They become quite large. They affect the neighborhood. They drop pine needles constantly. They do create a nice environment for fleas. So we do have a big maintenance issue out there of keeping that area clear, plus it's quite a fire hazard. We have approval from the city to take those out, and we will replace them with the Bass rule, hopefully 2 trees per 1 tree that we take out. I don't have a tree determined yet what we'll put in there, but we will be giving that information at subcommittee. Cost of that is $14,980 with Anderson Tree Care. Next item is also approval of contract with Anderson Tree Care Specialists for the maintenance and structural pruning and weight reduction on the very large oak tree out at Solorzano. It was quite evident when we were out there directing traffic that tree, I was stationed under that tree for traffic patrol. That tree is quite overgrown and has not been properly maintained for quite some time. Anderson's came out and did an assessment. Did advise that the tree is healthy, it's just overgrown, and it does need some structural weight reduction to preserve the safety and the length of the life of the tree. So the cost of that is $5,000. And by the way, all these are funded out of routine restricted maintenance. Next item is approval of contract with Val's Plumbing for the replacement of the swamp cooler on the Gilroy High kitchen. That's the prime source of cooling to the kitchen. It's the original equipment. It must be 16 years old now. It has failed beyond repair now. It's disintegrated. It's affecting the gutter system and the downspout. That's the next item that we have on there from Valves. But the swamp cooler will be $13,996. The replacement of the gutter and downspout that is directly below that swamp cooler is $6,423. that is also with Val's Plumbing. Last item, unfortunately, the city sidewalk reimbursement program is no longer in place, but we do have an area in front of El Roble on the exit part of the front driveway on 3rd Street. The approach and the apron and part of the sidewalk is failing very badly. There were complaints from the community around that it's a trip hazard. It's there, it is a trip hazard, but it's not an emergency repair. But I would like to see if we can get this done during a holiday break. EF&S came out after the city marked up the area. They've been our go-to and also awarded all the jobs with city sidewalk. They've been the lowest bidder. But to replace that area, and if you get out to El Roble, you'll see how damaged it is, $12,144. And that's all my items. And just wanted to update you that the Glenview project, the asphalt was completed actually yesterday. The lines were striped today. The fencing will go down tomorrow. They should have it back Monday. Lunch tables will be back in place, and it looks fantastic. We are trying to schedule during the holiday. Holiday break, Veterans Day, we're trying to schedule some work with some outside sources, and also the in-service day on November 1st. We're trying to get some 2 HVACs that are the last component of the Prop 39 on Rod Kelly Kinder rooms. We're shooting for November 1st. And I did want to say our guys did a really good job with the earthquake drill today. It's been so many years now, it's automatic. So if we really do have a real disaster or emergency, it's automatic for them where to go and how to report and the protocol. So I was very proud of them today. They did a great job.
That's great to hear. This is why we drill. When we were at the parent conference on Saturday, we saw them working on at Glenview. They saw them working on the concrete, and they were doing good work out there. So it's going to be a dramatic improvement.
Yeah, that was a lot of work in a very short window.
Yeah. All right, board. Any questions or comments? Is Paul going to go over his? I think he did. Yeah. Anything more you want to say?
No. That was just my update. We still have to roll through items B, C, and D.
Oh. Don't confuse me.
Sorry, I thought we were still on 9A.
Well, 9A is supposed to cover, B, C, and D.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. B, C, and D is the approval of Randazzo Enterprises. That will cover the cost of the demolition and removal of portables P1 through P9 at the Gilroy High School Portable Village Removal Project. Item C is the approval of the contract with Collins Electric, and they will actually remove the power that's connected to all those portables and safe that area off. And then item D is the contract with NorCal Portable Fencing or Portable Services for the fencing that is currently surrounding that area for the Portable Village project at Gilroy High School.
All right. Is there any more?
There is no more.
Okay, thank you very much, both of you, for your presentation and introduction for items 9B through K. I will hear the will of the board.
Move to approve items 9B through K.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Enrique Diaz,
Yes.
B.C. Doyle,
Yes.
Gwen Pyock,
Yes.
Mark Good,
Yes.
Anisha Munchi,
Yes.
James Pace,
Yes.
Linda Paceno absent.
Thank you very much. Motion's carry. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next up, item 10, board member reports. Board member report. Because of the California open meeting laws, we know the address where Ms. Munchi is right now. Google Maps shows it to be a mighty fine place. So enjoy your sunset and aloha.
I apologize.
Item 11, upcoming and new referral agenda items.
Can I bring up the LCAP survey? So I'm assuming that we're using same survey as we used last year.
Were there any changes?
There were modifications? Okay.
How do we do this It's not agendized
Oh, it's
or
not on the agenda, so let's see.
Sunday report?
Why don't you ask your question and I'll respond on Sunday? Because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah. So my question would be, because I know it was a community member had emailed us asking if there a way to do a comment section, because the way the survey is, it's very you choose A, B kind of thing, right? But it doesn't provide an ability for the community to give verbal input or quality.
Free form.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen other districts, what they do is they actually have meetings and they facilitate.
We do that.
You do that, okay.
Oh, yeah. We have tons of meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you invite the community members. Okay.
We invite the unions, the community members. We do it at every site. There's tons of meetings.
Lindsay's
Why don't
nodding.
we send last year's meeting schedule? Then you'll get a flavor of
Perfect.
how many meetings
Okay.
occurred last year. But we're kind of straying. I mean, this is starting to become
Yeah, so
Brown Act.
stop talking.
So I'm going to stop talking. And why don't you send us your questions and we'll put it in the weekly report.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Please send us more information about the community outreach on the LCAP.
Yes, I would like to attend, so that was my.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities.
Okay. Announcements. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held Thursday, November 7th. Closed session will begin at 5. Study session will begin at 5:30, followed by a regular meeting at 7. The agenda will be posted beforehand, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.